Shortly, I will be introducing them, two powerful ladies who want to open up to let us know what really happened, their experience, the little they could recall on what happened in Southern Sudan during the war. Relax. I trust you are relaxed. Are you?
Yeah.
Well, right now we are boarding, and then I want to make this little introduction. We are discussing in this social segment untold experiences of war and rape. Our case study today is on Southern Sudan. About 2.7 million people have fled their homes since the Sudan's Darfur conflict began in the arid western region. And the UN says about 3,000 have died, mostly from diseases. How did the conflict start? Now, the Sudan Liberation Army, popularly called the SLA, and Justice and Equality Movement, called GEM, began attacking government targets in the early 2003, accusing Khartoum of oppressing black Africans in favor of Arabs. Darfur, which means land of the four, has faced many years of tension over land and grazing rights between the mostly nomadic Arabs and farmers from the few Masalet and Sakawa communities. What has happened to Darfur civilians? The United Nations says more than 2.7 million people have fled their homes and now live in camps near Darfur's main town. So we have these beautiful women who will be telling us a little bit of their experience over the war. Are we ready, ladies?
Yeah.
Can you speak? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Now welcome to Voice of Nigeria, the show.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. So I have Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you are doing?
Okay. I'm Sarah Bruchman. I live in Amsterdam here, and I'm a nurse and also working with the buitenschoolopvang.
Yeah. So she's a nurse and also working
With a worker.
Well, okay, that's wonderful. So Lucy,
my
tell us
name,
a little bit of yourself.
yeah, my name is Lucy Isaac, and I live in Utrecht, also working in Utrecht, and I work at Southern, which is a laboratorium that does research on cancer.
No, speak loud a little bit so we can hear you, baby. Yeah.
My name is Lucy Isaac, and I work at Southern Laboratorium, which does research for the civic cancer and also breast cancer.
Cervical cancer.
And intestinal cancer also.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have a lot to do with women.
Yeah, and I'm also the chairperson of SWAN, which is
One, yeah.
Southern Sudanese Women's Association here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, so you are the current president.
Yeah, I'm now the chairperson.
Wow.
And Sarah is the general secretary.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow. Now we have to start, and we encourage you, outsiders, our listeners, please do us a favor and call us on 020-737-1619. If you are a woman and you do not believe in rape, I encourage you to call. If you support that it's good to expose this dirty game that is going on, each time that there is war somewhere, women are the target, or the children. If you support the same cause I'm supporting, that we must expose it, give us a call on 020-737-1619. So now, ladies, why did this war begin, and where were you when it all started?
Yeah, when the war started, that was in...
Why did it begin, and where were you?
Okay, at that time we were in Juba, and the war started because it's when they introduced the Sharia laws.
Yeah.
And then the only people that were being targeted at that time were the non-Muslims, like especially the people from Southern Sudan.
Yeah.
We were at that time also living in Khartoum, and people's hands were being cut.
Yeah,
if you steal, then they cut your hand, and it was not being done to the Muslims, it was being done mostly to the non-Muslims. and then the people were being oppressed also. The wealth was not being fairly shared, and the jobs also. Most of the jobs were given to northern Sudanese, which they believe to be Arabs, and then southern Sudanese were not getting any jobs. And then the health services in southern Sudan were very poor, and also education was not growing very well. So at that time, that's when the movement started, the SPLM, and the late Dr. John Garang at that time was heading the movement.
Yes.
So they fled, and then there's been war for like 22 years.
Yeah.
And then in 2005, the CPA was signed, the Comprehensive Peace Agreement,
Yeah.
which now led to the independence of Southern Sudan this year in July 9th. So we are now an independent and a recognized country.
The newest born country in Africa.
Yeah. What do you say, Sarah?
The newest born country, the baby of the world.
Africa.
We are so blessed and glad.
How do you feel to be an independent country?
Wow.
Unbelievable.
But you are in the diaspora, so
It took a long time for a lot of people to believe that it's really going to happen, because it's the war has been going on for years and years.
Yeah.
And so you become hopeless. But then we have the Almighty God. And we thank the world also that they have seen our suffering, and that they also give us the possibility, to start a new country. And of course we will make mistakes, but every country do.
Wow, this is awesome. So do you think that you have what it takes to stand on your own as a country?
Definitely.
I'm asking this from genuine point of view.
Definitely.
Your country, your country have what it takes.
Our countries have got all the sources that are needed. Of course, because of the war, and also because of what has happened before, that we had not the chance to go to school, to have education, and to be able to build our own country, and also it is destroyed by the war. We have a lot of things to do, and it is really challenging.
Wow.
But we believe, and we are all motivated to go on and to start a new life in our own beautiful country.
Yes. I can see that you are so proud of this country.
Yes, we are.
Wow.
And also, what I think that Lucy also mentioned, our children were also being forced to be Islamized. To be brought to Khartoum, and also brainwashed, to become Muslim, and that was also one of the reasons that the Southern Sudanese thought, like, it is impossible. You cannot force a person to be what they don't want to be.
So the Southern Sudanese are mainly Christian.
Mainly Christian.
And majority are Christian.
And they also always live with their own cultures, and so to be able to be forced, to be Islamized while you are not intending to do so, especially to take the children, even the girls. The girls are very precious in our culture.
Yeah. Okay.
And when it comes to that, so Sudanese people would really fight. Because they want to protect the treasure, the girls. And the children,
the dowry that's being paid.
Oh,
so wedding, relationship, marriage is a very important part of our culture.
Okay.
So the girls are taken good care of.
The girls should be pure and be really cared for, to be able to grow up as a normal woman.
And marry a good husband.
And being a good
so you're supposed to be given to your husband by your father.
Yes.
So it is also a pride for a father. But if you see, especially in the rape situation, you see that there's a big thing damaged there,
Exactly.
The culture is damaged. You damage the father-girl relationship.
Not only the culture, I don't think it's
and so, the hope also for the father that my daughter would marry, and I would give my daughter in pride, to the husband to be, it's also a big thing, it's a huge step, and a huge thing, for the father to deal with. So when you rape a girl or a child, usually the teenager, or woman who are trying to raise up their voice, then you also damage very important, very, very intimate relationships in the families. because you
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes,
it is not just sleeping with a woman and so, but it have an effect. It have a big impact in raising also the children. And usually what happens is what the Arab does is that they rape you, you know, to also
They rape the person.
the person
Being used as a weapon to like to demonize you or to make you feel like you are less than them.
Exactly.
And
And then they can do whatever they want with
during
you.
the war, a lot of Southern Sudanese moved to Southern Sudan, to Northern Sudan, and they were being called displaced. And then they were living in the outskirts, the rural areas around Khartoum. Then they would build their places, and at that time they have no jobs. They had to work as housekeepers.
Do you know that you are being listened all over the world right now?
Yeah.
And do you know that your president, isn't president, what you have, president?
That's what happened.
I will be very proud of you.
Yeah.
Because you are bringing this to the world.
Yeah.
You know, many women wouldn't want to discuss this.
Yeah.
And when I met you, I saw something in you. Powerful gifts in you.
That's
Outspokenness.
Yeah, we were also born during the war. I grew up when the war started, I was not even a teenager. And then we moved, they went to Ethiopia, I came to Khartoum with my parents, and I saw the things that were being done to the Southern Sudanese. And the women especially. The women were there, men were at war, and the women were there taking care of the children.
Yes.
So they were like selling alcohol, and in that Islamic situation it was forbidden. So when they catch you, they will take you to prison, then they will lash you, you will be beaten, and then they rape you. They can do anything with you at the prison. And then it's a gang rape, and this being done by police. That's the police, which are the people who are supposed to protect you. That's the thing that was being done. And when the way you dress, when you were found dressing like in a miniskirt, they'll take you to prison, and then they'll beat you and rape you there. It was really a terrible situation.
But was this war over land, or was there something else which was at the center of all of this? From the little you can recall it.
All the resources are in Southern Sudan, and it was clear that the Northerners didn't want to let South Sudan go. So they were taking everything, like all the resources come from Southern Sudan and were being given less than 10% of that wealth when it was ours.
Yeah.
And frankly speaking, Sudan, it means the land of the blacks, so it was for the Africans. They came there as traders and Arabs, and then they mixed. They married people from West Sudan, and then these children, they had this Islamic mentality. They stayed there, and they were like diminishing other people and other ethnic groups. You have to be a Muslim to be accepted. And then there was also this color issue, like the National Islamic Front, which is now the regime of Omar al-Bashir. They were using this target, going to Southern Sudan, raping young girls and bringing up children that are lighter in color, and then Islamizing their children. That was the way they wanted to change the color and to change the mentality of Southern Sudanese. They wanted to wipe out the whole of South Sudan, which was not
so from your point of view, they were raping the women just to dehumanize them.
Yeah.
And what were they doing to the boys?
Also young boys were being raped.
Hey!
Like the housekeepers, they were being raped. Or even in South Sudan, there was like a case in Juba. That was the time before I was like 10. It was the time before we came to Northern Sudan. There was this young boy. His dad went to war, and he was the eldest. And as the eldest, he had to help his mom. So he was working as a housekeeper at that house. And that man used to rape him. And then one day he said, no, it has to stop. And what did that man do? He poured gasoline on him and then lit fire, and he died.
Well, listeners out there, you could feel our heartbeat right now, and I believe that if you are a human being, there's no how you will be hearing this sort of thing and then you keep your mouth shut. Give us a call and let's hear your voice on this issue that is very dehumanizing. Call us on 020-737-1619. We are talking on real practical experience on rape, war in Sudan. Our case study today is on Southern Sudan. Now, ladies, what were your specific experiences during this war, and how did it affect you till now? Yes, Sarah.
Well, yeah, it affected us. So, yeah, you know, when the war started, I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I remember that the soldiers came to Ethiopia because I was living in Ethiopia then. And then suddenly you hear that our people are fighting for our freedom, and then you see a lot of people coming from Sudan, southern part of Sudan, to Ethiopia, also to a refugee camp, because there was a big, huge refugee camp there. And you see people suffering, you know, you see children that has no parents, you know, and no one's taking care of them. And it has a huge impact on me,
Yes.
knowing that you are a refugee and you don't have a place to live, you
Yes.
don't have a country
Yes.
that you can go. And 19 years ago when I came here also from Ethiopia as a refugee to Holland.
Okay.
And and it was so difficult because I didn't know how to call myself. Am I Ethiopian or am I a Sudanese?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be called a Sudanese because I know that the Sudanese are the ones who are killing us, because we were, you know,
Yes.
North and South was one.
Yeah.
One country. And you know that you are not Ethiopian because you just live there. It does not make you become Ethiopian.
Yeah.
You know where your roots are from.
Yes.
So it was not easy.
So you were having those crises.
I think that I still have that. I don't know where to belong.
Mm.
And that's
now you're
why
married.
2 years ago
Mhm.
I went to Juba.
Okay.
Just to see how it feels, you know, to have your own to go back to your own country, to your
Okay.
own city.
Yeah.
Juba is the capital city of South Sudan.
Yeah.
And I never been there, of course, because I was a child when the war broke out.
Yeah.
And when I went there, and it felt so beautiful, you know, that you know the people who are working in the offices, you know, you are related to even some of them, and some of them were my classmates then from the refugee camp.
Yeah.
And they are having good positions there. It felt so beautiful. And when I came back and I told my children, like, you know, that is our city, that is our country, that
Yes.
is how Sudan is going to be, South Sudan is going to be, it's going to be for you too, you know,
Yes. Mhm.
in the future if you want to go back to
Yeah.
your country.
Yeah.
And then my son says something beautiful, because he used to work here during the week,
Where?
here in Belmer.
Okay.
And then he would see a lot of white people in suits, you know, working, going to their offices. And he said, Mama, in South Sudan, there are going to be men, black men in suits going to work, you know, to the offices.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. And I was like, yes, that is how I want you to feel, you know, that is how it is to have your own country.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you can then choose where to live,
Yes.
but still know that you can always go back. And yes, I think that it was good, you know, that I appreciate the people who fought the war,
Yes.
because if it was not them, we would not have a freedom now, we would not have our own country.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of people, a lot of women
Wow.
who fought also for that, because they sacrificed their lives, you know, to you know, most of the women in South Sudan, they raised their children alone.
Yes.
Because their men went to war
And
and
died.
maybe never come back, you know. And some, you know, like the women who were in the north of Sudan, in Khartoum, most of them have been raped. Maybe not one time, but many times.
Oh.
Because they were trying to raise up their children
Yeah.
and give them a better future.
Yeah.
And because they don't know where else to go. And so the government has used them, you know, to, you know, has destroyed them.
Yes, permanently.
And that is so bad. I knew a woman that came also to a refugee camp in Ethiopia. She had a child mixed with Arab
Yeah.
child. And it was also the result of rape. And when she came to Ethiopia, to a refugee camp, it was difficult for her because people didn't accept her. They thought that she was a prostitute. But she was raped, you know, and she got the child, and she chose to keep the child because she felt like, I have to take care of my child because the child cannot do anything about it. But I'm the mother, I'm taking care of that child, I can raise the child up to become a good person.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult also for her because it was her first child, and she was young then when she was raped, to even marry, because people rejected her.
Yes.
So that is also one of the things that happen because the men or the people around you don't see how it happens. They never see. They thought that you made it happen, that you did something to let it happen to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the concept. That's the way the Africans
no
feel.
one
When,
understands.
when the woman is raped, they always think the woman
Did something. It is her fault.
Yeah.
Like
She made the man come after her.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And it is such a, for a woman it's so bad because no one listens to them.
Yeah.
No one hear them cry or give them a ear, No one do something about the physical, the psychological part of the situation.
Exactly.
And
So how did
that
this
change.
war change your lives from what it could have been? How did this war change your lives from what it could have been?
It's like a big eye opener. I grew up in Khartoum.
Yeah.
Before the war, my dad was working. I was also born in Khartoum.
Okay.
And then I studied at a Catholic school, so I was getting a lot of sort of protection, but I've seen what was being done
Yeah.
to other people. My dad had a good position, so he was like protected. But at the same time, sometimes at night they will come and pick him up and interview him and ask him where the rebels are, and you have contact with them, you have to tell them where they are. And
really?
at school, when I grew up, then I had to like go to an Islamic university.
Yeah.
And then there I had to wear the burqa and cover my head, and I have to take the Islam lesson as a religion when I was a Christian. So at that time when I refused it, and at that time we were not being given a visa, so I had to go to Egypt by train, cross the borders and come to Egypt, and that's how I came to Holland. But I've seen the things that have been done there. My auntie was also raped. She was at that time a single mom with 8 children, and she had to feed their children. So she was making alcohol and selling alcohol to people to raise up.
So the women who are raped, are they still going through that trauma?
It was
because if your auntie
she was traumatized, and she got pregnant with the raped child, and bringing up that child, it was traumatizing to the child and to her and to the society, and she was also isolated. And the people were thinking like it's her fault that she allowed that thing to happen, and she had nobody to talk to. She was living in isolation, and it did a lot to her. Till now you can see the effects, the psychological effects.
Well, listeners, you are on Radio Voice of Nigeria show, transmitting on 105.2 MHz ether and 103.8 cable. We are discussing on untold experience of war and rape. Our case study today is with Southern Sudan. So give us a call on 027371619. Call us and let's hear your view regarding this issue. Stay tuned.